With Ali Hamoud, a professor of international relations and economics, now joining us live from Beirut. It's about 9:30 in the morning where you are, Mr. Hamoud. A very good morning to you, but is it a good morning indeed? I wanted to ask you, have you had any sleep? How has it been in the overnight there in the Lebanese capital, and how are you today?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm not really well because yesterday it was a lot of raids on the suburb of Beirut. I think it was more than 4 to 6. They launched more than 4 to 6 bombardment, and all these raids, it's on the civilians' buildings. Like usually, they said always they are targeting a military target or a building underground. There is arsenal or there is missiles, but all that buildings they've been targeting since the starting of this savage war. It's a civilian building, and mainly if you follow the satellite map, it's mapping, it's concentrating the concentration from South Lebanon to Bekaa Valley, and of course the Adahi is a suburb of Beirut. So we are now almost following the Ministry of Health stated that we are at more than 2,000 killed, thousands of injured, and more than 1 million displaced in different shelters.
Yeah, well, the numbers, Mr. Hamoud, are shocking, as are the pictures we've seen of the missiles raining down on the Lebanese capital. I mean, I had a guest on earlier, an Israeli guest from Jerusalem, who said we are already now in the third Israel-Lebanon war. But, Mr. Hamoud, I wanted to ask you, it's what, just after 9:30 in the morning where you are now. What is the sentiment there in the capital city? How are people feeling?
The people that are scared, it's really scary what's going on, especially for the civilian, because, you know, like what they've been like what they said in Gaza, they've been bombarding all the buildings in Gaza with the one reason, the IDF. All these buildings is or the Hezbollah, they are using population or those people that are civilians that are sitting on this building like a human shield. This is a big lie, started since 1 year, and still the IDF use it just to bombard and, terrify the civilians, just to make a problem between the population and the resistance, the forced resistance in Lebanon. But I think so. It's happened in 2006. They hit, they target a lot of convoy when the civilians, they've been fleeing or evacuation, and they bombarded the United Nations compound. But we saw later the population melt down more with the resistance force, and it came with different what I mean. I mean the resistance they will have. They became with a lot of what we call it in English swing. I forget the word. So now the population they are supporting more the resistance because they saw what's the IDF doing and hitting civilian houses, public places.
Of course, the IDF says it's only taking out what it calls terrorist or military infrastructure, but we've seen the civilian death tolls.
Human rights. This is a war crime. This is, of course, what's going on in Lebanon. It's a crime of aggression. But, you know, Israel and following what the last, if you follow, you've been following the last speech of Prime Minister Netanyahu in the headquarters of the United Nations. He was, he was telling us that he's above the law, above the international law, above the chart of the United Nations. And before the envoy or the ambassador of Israel since 2 months or 3 months ago, he was torn the chart blue, the United Nations chart in front of all the nations. So we understand Israel, they have the full support of United Nations for what they are doing now in Gaza.
Well, it has the full support of the UN in the sense that it has the support of America and America's veto power. Because ever since last October the 7th, the UN, the global governing body, has been trying to rein in Israel, and Netanyahu, he's just not listening. He's just not listening. He also rebuffs the International Criminal Court, Mr. Hammoud. I wanted to ask you, if I may, you talk about the 2006 Israel-Lebanon war. You go back to 2006, and I was just listening to a correspondent from Al Mayadeen who said that back in 2006, the Israeli forces were almost allowed to make their way into Beirut, but then Hezbollah launched basically a guerrilla war against them, and Israel ultimately had to back off. So I wanted to ask you, what is the IDF, do you think, going to face in the coming days and weeks as it potentially continues to march northwards?
Briefly speaking, I want to just give you a right figure about what's going on now in Lebanon. After the pagers problem and the talkie-walkie problem in 17 of the last months, and later on the assassination of the senior leader of Hezbollah, and a lot of senior figures. So they think the IDF misunderstand, or I think he thought maybe that Hezbollah, they become weaker, or he's underestimating the power of Hezbollah. But following what I know about this organization, they are strong. They have a lot organogram. They fill all the organogram, and they don't have any problem in the management of all the operations, and especially on the ground. So what they are trying to do, the IDF, to make like what you call it, launching a limit incursion at the border of South Lebanon from the north of Palestine, or the occupied Palestine. I think it will fail 100%. It will fail because since 1978, the fact that all the five previous invasions failed should be an indication for the IDF and for the whole journalists in the world that outcome may be a repeat of what really occurred between 1982 and 2006. So it's a big mistake to invade Lebanon.
And I guess, as you say, we're all on the verge of watching history repeat itself in one way or another. Ali Hammoud is a professor of international relations and economics, joining us live from Beirut. A final comment, Ali.
It will be costly for the IDF, especially because, the target or the aim of the IDF is to drive Hezbollah to the north of Litani River to comply the resolution 1701. So I think it will be difficult for the IDF, and I don't think so they will make any progress in Lebanon, only just targeting the civilians and trying to kill as much as possible children and
as you say, more violations of international law, more violations of basic human rights. Ali Hammoud, next time, my friend, we will talk for longer. It's been a great pleasure. Thanks for joining us live from Beirut. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Shifting gears here on RT International, because Julie